On the wedding day, joy turned to sorrow as my father-in-law suddenly passed away, and everyone cursed me as a harbinger of misfortune. It wasn't until my husband took the opportunity to bring his childhood sweetheart Chanshan into the household as a concubine that I learned their child was already 6 years old. I set aside past grievances, treating the concubine like a sister and the stepson as my own, yet the two of them conspired to cause my miscarriage. Mocking me as a harbinger of misfortune who couldn't even keep a child, the doctor said I don't have long to live, and no one in the entire household came to visit me, even saying I deserved to die. With nothing left to cling to, I set a fire to end it all together. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on my wedding day, and among the guests, I spotted Chanshan, facing a flood of accusations labeling me a jinx. I stared at her and sneered coldly, "Leave them all. If I find out who harmed the master, I will make this ill-fated star pay with their life." My memories from my past life ended in a sea of flames. As the daughter of a military family, I married for love, only to be bullied by the entire family, even losing my child. If there is a next life, I will not be so merciful. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing in the hall, dressed in a phoenix crown and ceremonial robes, with Du Zun sobbing uncontrollably beside me. "Jinx, you've brought death upon the master the moment you arrived," a guest suddenly pointed at me, shouting angrily. Upon hearing this, the others also began pointing at me and hurling insults. I took a step back in shock, scanning the room full of guests. Suddenly, a pair of eyes met mine. "Isn't this Chanshan?" At this moment, she was still standing in place, not looking away, just showing a hint of a smug smile. My heart immediately tightened. Could it be that she had already anticipated this and came specifically to see me make a fool of myself? Seeing me look at her, her smile deepened even more. In my previous life, she had challenged me in exactly this way. I immediately tore the red garment to shreds. Amidst the astonished gazes of everyone, I rushed to the door and shouted, "Everyone, stay where you are. From now on, I will check each and every birth date one by one. If I find out who offended the master, I will make that harbinger of doom pay with their life." As I spoke, I kept my eyes fixed on Chanshan without a moment's pause, and she panicked. "How ridiculous. In my past life, you used the harbinger of doom to destroy me. In this life, I will make you repay it twofold." I remember her birth date and time clearly. In her previous life, she married into the Du family on the grounds that her birth chart was auspicious for her husband. Soon, at my instruction, the fortune teller pointed the finger at Chanshan. "No, it wasn't me." She frantically waved her hands, but I grabbed her by the collar and slapped her twice across the face. "You dare to stir up trouble on this joyous day? How many lives do you have to pay for it?" She was still crying and talking back, so I immediately raised my hand and slapped her to the ground. The first rule of the general's household is, never contradict the young lady. If you dare to talk back again, you'll be struck once for every word you utter. In my previous life, I was plagued by a jinx for most of my life. On the day of the wedding, countless people blamed me for bringing misfortune to the master, and even Du Zun mocked me in return. The old lady refused to see me at all. They all agreed that I was the one who had caused the master's death. I was at a loss, kneeling before the spirit every day to beg for forgiveness, and devoted myself wholeheartedly to mourning. Du Zun, however, with a grand gesture, married Chanshan, a woman of unknown origin, into the household. "It was you who brought death upon my father. It is already an act of great mercy that I have not divorced you." After uttering these cold words, Du Zun went to play with his 6-year-old son, Tianqin. At that time, I was surrounded by guilt and did not notice anything unusual at all. In fact, I even felt that it was good to have someone share the pain for him. Gradually, even Chanshan and her son looked down on me. "Call her mother," Xiaotsue reminded Tianqin when she saw me. "Jinx." He squinted his beady eyes at me, full of mockery. "Don't be angry, young mistress," Xiaoqui comforted me. "These are just baseless rumors from outside. You mustn't blame yourself." I gave a bitter smile and did not respond. At that time, I had just suffered a miscarriage because Tianqin had hit me while playing Kuju. I was bleeding profusely, yet his mother showed no sign of remorse. "It's also because my sister had bad luck, a jinx," Even her own child was affected. That smug smile was exactly the same as the one I saw at the wedding banquet. Thinking of this, I was filled with rage and grabbed Chanshan by the collar. She was so frightened that her face turned pale, and with a twist of my hands, I forced her head to face me. "Speak, who are you? Who allowed you to come in?" At that moment, a man's voice cut through the air. "Dao Xuanji, are you done yet? How much longer do you want to be a laughingstock?" Duzun broke through the crowd, pushed me aside, and shielded Chanshan behind him. "Ridiculous, in my previous life," he cried and beat his chest in anguish, wishing he could curse me to death. Now that Chanshan is the one bringing misfortune, he is anxious to protect her. Even the tears of a filial son have, at some point, stopped flowing. I immediately straightened my expression. "Duzun, look clearly, it was your own father who was killed. Ask the elders and fellow villagers, what wrong have I done in avenging the master?" The crowd immediately erupted, responding in unison. "Get rid of her, get rid of her." Duzun's face flushed red with anger. "Who said he was cursed to death? What's wrong with an old man dying of old age?" Slap, in front of everyone. I raised my hand again and unexpectedly gave him a slap across the face. Amidst the uproar, I sternly rebuked, "I, Dao Xuanji, despise the unfilial most of all. To address your father like that, are you human or beast?" As I spoke, I raised my voice even higher. "The Dao family of the military lineage values rules and discipline above all. Those who violate etiquette and regulations, regardless of rank, will be dealt with accordingly. In my past life, I was naive and timid, a noble daughter of a military family who endured suffering in a humble marriage and dared not speak of it to my own family. Now, my family is my greatest support." In front of General Dao, even 10 Master Does wouldn't dare to be so reckless. The entire hall was stunned by my words. Duzun trembled with anger but dared not speak out. Once again, I walked up to him and pulled out Chanshan, who had been hiding behind me. "Who are you? Who allowed you to come here? Don't make me ask a third time." Chanshan flushed red, and after a long pause, she said, "Duzun invited her. Since it was an invitation, I needed to see the wedding invitation. She said it was at home. Perfect. I haven't seen that little bastard since I was reborn. I'm going to see for myself what kind of person he is without his father's backing before entering the mansion." After some twists and turns, I finally saw the place where the beauty was hidden away. This Duzun really splurged, using the master's money to buy such a fine house to hide someone away. Looking at the wedding invitation she handed over, I suddenly asked, "What is your family background? What do you do?" Chanshan timidly replied, "I lost both my parents when I was young, and I was fortunate to be rescued by Master Zhong from the opera troupe." "Oh, an opera performer. No wonder you can't be taken seriously." I closed the wedding invitation and casually tossed it on the ground. Chanshan's expression changed. I had long guessed that Duzun couldn't marry her openly and properly. It must have been because old Master Du was desperately trying to stop it. My father-in-law, when he was alive, cared most about face. The reason for his obstruction was probably not far off from that. Unexpectedly, this move angered the little beast. "Do not speak of my mother like that." He picked up the football and hurled it at me. Fortunately, I dodged quickly, or the consequences would have been unimaginable. Madam, are you all right?" Xiao Kui screamed in alarm, rushing over to help me up. The little beast was not giving up. He picked up another football and threw it again, this time hitting Xiao Kui. My expression darkened. Chanshan immediately paled with fright and quickly shielded him behind her, with a grim face. I pressed forward step by step. "Do you know what the punishment is for harming someone from a military family?" "Madam, I beg you, he doesn't understand yet. He only hit the maid, a maid." I sneered. "Xiao Kui has grown up with me since childhood. Hitting her is like hitting me." At this moment, Tianqin also realized something was wrong and began trembling all over. I dragged him in front of me. "Which part of what I said was wrong?" "Remember, never covet what does not belong to you." After speaking, I raised my voice again. "A child's misbehavior is the mother's fault. Guards, drag his mother down and give her 10 lashes." The sound of the cane striking flesh echoed repeatedly, accompanied by Chanshan's wailing cries. "Does that hurt already?" During those 3 years of torment at your hands, I suffered so much that I could neither live nor die. Upon returning home, I announced the cancellation of the wedding and devoted myself entirely to mourning. At the master's funeral, I wept with utmost sorrow, doing my best to uphold the family's dignity. The guests all remarked that the general's daughter was truly extraordinary, bold in love and hate, severe in punishment, and grand in action. This time, it was Du Zun who felt aggrieved. I knew he had wanted to marry Qianqian for a long time. After much thought, he came up with another plan, using the old lady to pressure me. Xuanji, I know you are good, but managing the household alone can be tiring. How about I find a sister for you to share your worries? The old lady's eyes were sharp, seemingly discussing, but actually showing off. So, this old woman had long known about this part. I couldn't help but sigh sadly, realizing that in my previous life, I had practically been tricked into marrying into the Du family. Surprisingly, I agreed readily. Watching the overjoyed Du mother and son, I secretly laughed to myself. After all, I had no intention of letting that savage get close to me. If he wanted to share a bed, let Qianqian be the one to do it. Besides, I also needed to lure him into the trap. On the day of the wedding, I sat in the high seat, demanding Qianqian to serve me tea. The scalding teacup was held in her hands, and as she handed it to me, a few drops of tea splashed out. Not acceptable. Do it again. She served the tea once more, but I still refused to take it. I insisted that she hold it steady and perfectly balanced. When I finally took it, she was already brimming with tears of shame and anger. That's just how people are. They have a quilt but refuse to use it, insisting on covering themselves with straw instead. To be honest, I don't look down on any profession. In my past life, I treated her like a sister. It was her who didn't know what was good for her, taking advantage of her favor to trample all over me. This is what forced me to become a domineering mistress in this life. On the second day of the wedding, when everyone gathered at the dining table, I once again put on a stern face and dragged her son to the very edge of the table. Didn't I tell you not to covet a position that doesn't belong to you? After saying that, I turned to Qianqian and pointed to the corner seat for her as well. She lowered her head and walked over, holding the child's hand. Very good. Now you understand the rules. I signaled for the old lady to start eating. After Du Zun and I had taken our share, Qianqian timidly reached out her hand. It seemed like she was about to cry again. Since Qianqian entered the mansion, I have set a rule that Tianqin is not allowed to go out during the day for 2 years. The reason is simple: to protect the Du family's reputation. Additionally, under the pretense of supervising his studies, I found him a study companion. Qianqian reluctantly agreed, but in truth, I had other plans. Day by day passed, with Du Zun busy managing the restaurant business every day, and Qianqian and I rarely spoke to each other. One day, the old lady summoned me. Xuanji, it's good that you want to uphold the rules, but as a family, sometimes you should also be mindful not to hurt others so deeply. Her gaze was intense once again, appearing as a request but actually a command. Interesting, in my previous life, when I was bullied by the crowd, she pretended to be deaf and mute, but in this life, she's in a hurry to stand up for the concubine. I stood up and deliberately raised my voice. Xuanji comes from a family of martial artists, with a rough and straightforward nature, so they don't understand such words. If anyone has any objections to Xuanji, they should bring them up directly. No need to beat around the bush. As soon as the words were spoken, the curtain twitched. I knew it was Qianqian whispering in her ear again. Actors are just actors, always adept at reading people's expressions. In my past life, the old lady was completely charmed by her. As a result, in the later period, all major matters in the household were entrusted to her to handle. In this life, I firmly hold the authority within the household, not yielding an inch. I never expected her to grow impatient so quickly. Interesting, is the inner house conflict about to begin so soon? When I was timid, I was no match for you. But now, you should at least weigh your own capabilities. What capital do you have to contend with me? Recently, I have gradually noticed that the account books usually handed over to me at home are being delivered later and later. I had Xiaotsue follow Du Zun's maid, and sure enough, she first took the account books to Qianqian's room. My anger flared up once again. Once upon a time, she was just like this, cultivated by Du Zun, personally taught to read and manage accounts, and supported all the way to becoming the head of the household. Now, she dares to pull this trick right under my nose. I cracked my knuckles. That evening, Du Zun had not yet returned home, and the old lady had taken Tian Qin out for a trip. Seizing the perfect moment, I suddenly appeared at Qianqian's door. Seeing it was me, she lost her grip, and the account book immediately fell to the ground. It was my husband who told me to look. Before I could question her, she hurriedly shouted first. I smiled slightly and began flipping through the account book. Did anyone ever tell me? She immediately fell silent. At that moment, her maid, Xiaodao, spoke up. The young master must have been too busy and forgot to tell the young mistress. He'll definitely say it when he remembers. I turned my head and stared at her intently. This girl, with her delicate brows and eyes, clearly looks like a clever and competitive person. Unfortunately, the more competitive and eager for success one is, the more prone they are to making mistakes. She, however, has chosen the wrong side. I smiled faintly again. Xiao Kui. How should you be punished for interrupting without the owner's permission? Slap her. With my signal, Xiaotsue stepped forward and gave her a slap across the face. In the vast room, the air was as still as death, but I had no intention of letting her off. Xiaodao, repeat what you just said. Xiaotsue, you keep count. 1, 2, 31. After the last word was spoken, Xiaotsue also reported the count. My face immediately changed color. Add another 30 slaps. Do it yourself. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Xiaodao slapped herself left and right, her face now indistinguishable whether it was flushed from shame and anger or from being struck. Amidst the crisp sound of slaps, I walked towards Qianqian and pinched her slightly trembling chin. See, this is what happens when you don't know your place. Her eyes were brimming with tears, and droplets still clung to her eyelashes. After the 30th slap, I let go and shoved her. She stumbled, taking several steps back. Then, I picked up the account book and, before leaving, tossed out a sentence. Send Xiaodao back to wherever she came from. Tomorrow, I'll have the maid from my room take her place. Xiaodao immediately burst into loud sobs and frantic cries, desperately calling out to Qianqian for help. At that moment, Du Xuan's trusted maid, Xiaoxing, couldn't hold back any longer. Young mistress, if you want to drive someone away, you should at least wait for the young master and the old madam to return so we can discuss it thoroughly. Another one who doesn't know their place, standing tall just because they have seniority. I've seen plenty of people like this. In my past life, a little Xing and a little Dao acted as accomplices to the wicked, lording it over me. It truly lives up to the saying, a dog relies on its master's power. Just in time, she has delivered herself right to us. Let me ask you, which is more significant, the change of a maid, or the change of a master's authority and responsibilities? The change of a master's authority and responsibilities. Indeed, the young master and the old lady do not consider it a significant matter, so there is no need to inform me. Why should such a trivial matter concerning a maid trouble them? After speaking, I sternly added, as a head maid for so many years, if you still fail to grasp such basic principles, you are truly occupying a position without fulfilling its duties. Someone, come and drive her away with Xiaodao. Upon hearing this, Xiaoxing immediately straightened her neck and shouted, Why are you driving me away? Just because I said one thing. Why? I sneered, then turned and smashed the old lady's antique vase. Just because of this, I'm kicking you out now, and you're spared a beating. After a bout of chaos, the wails gradually faded away, and the room fell into a silence as still as a graveyard. I glanced around at everyone in the room and spoke up. What happened to this bottle? Who can tell me? Madam, it was Xiaoxing who broke it. Everyone quickly replied in unison. After saying that, one of the maids even took the initiative to clean up the broken pieces. I held on to her and nodded. Excellent. That's the spirit of our military family. Tomorrow, you will take Xiaoxing's place and serve the young master. She exchanged a glance with me and immediately nodded eagerly. Looking at the others, I also smiled and said, You all should work hard too. If the Dao family has any needs, I will prioritize recommending each of you. Everyone quickly expressed their gratitude. In the end, I glanced at Chanshan in the corner and snorted coldly, covering my position. You're still too inexperienced. When Du Zun and his group arrived home, they finally realized how much had changed in the household. How dare you drive people away behind my back? Du Zun was furious. It was me who asked Chanshan to learn it. Can't I tell you later? The more he spoke, the angrier he became, almost cursing. The old lady no longer concealed her feelings, scolding me for being shrewish and rude, with no respect for my elders. So you still know the rules, after all, I pressed on relentlessly, bypassing the wife to let a concubine take charge if word of this gets out. Which family wouldn't become a laughingstock? Du Zun held the tearful Chanshan in his arms, who sobbed pitifully against his chest. Who cares if people laugh or not? This is my home, and I call the shots, not afraid of being laughed at, are you? My wild side also flared up, and I immediately sat down on the pearwood chair, crossed my legs, and began to count. Fine, then let's break it down one by one, so everyone can have a good laugh. You're so protective of your concubine, could it be that you're sympathizing with your mother's plight? Upon hearing this, the old lady beside them nearly fainted from anger. I sneered coldly. In my previous life, the only time I returned to my parents' home, my elder sister noticed something was off with my complexion and suspected I wasn't doing well. Are those people bullying you? She worried endlessly. None of them are any good. From her, I learned that the old lady was actually a maid to Du Zun's grandfather. While serving her master, she and the old master Du took a liking to each other, secretly had an affair, and that's how Du Zun came to be. Just as the old master passed away and Master Du's first wife died, she seized the opportunity to climb the social ladder and became the lady of the Du family. No wonder Du Zun had such a strong dislike for those who were formerly married. Upon hearing this, Du Zun rushed forward, ready to strike me, but as the daughter of a general, my skills and experience far surpassed his. We wrestled together, and he quickly found himself at a disadvantage. I grabbed his head and slammed it against the wall like ringing a bell. Dare to hit a woman? Is this what your mother taught you? Hit, I'll let you hit. Everyone was screaming, but no one dared to intervene. He tried to get up again, but I kicked him hard once more. Don't think that just any stray cat or dog can climb to the top. The last one who tried to snatch food from me died in the womb. If you're not afraid, go ahead and let her come. I've never told anyone before, but my mother was pregnant with twins. However, when she gave birth, one of them was stillborn. Du Zun and the old lady finally grew terrified and began desperately begging me to stop. I stopped, then grabbed the lamp and smashed it against my forehead. Instantly, I too was bleeding from the head. If any of you say a single word about what happened tonight, I'll take this injury and go straight to my father. After saying that, I picked up the ledger and, ignoring the horrified gazes of everyone, walked away covered in blood. After this incident, there were never any more issues with the ledger, but half a year later, the maid who had previously been sweeping the vases reported a new situation to me. It seems the young master is planning to open a branch store in the southern part of the city. At the opening ceremony, the one in charge is the second young mistress. My brows furrowed, trying to secretly seize power behind my back again. I quietly appeared at the ceremony site. The branch store was bustling with the sound of gongs and drums, and the crowd was immense. Chanshan, like the hostess, was bustling about, arranging matters in a flurry. I then looked toward the guests outside the door. Suddenly, I spotted a familiar figure among them. Wasn't that my father's old friend, Kui He, the governor of Nanju? Why would he appear at Du Zun's ceremony? I pondered for a moment and couldn't help but think of a disturbing answer. Just then, the countdown began on the scene. 5, 4, 3, 2, wait a moment. A loud cry pierced the sky, and everyone was searching for the source of the sound. Among the crowd, I stared intently at Chanshan, yet maintained a proper smile on my face. Apologies. Everyone, the shop still has some internal matters to attend to and will need to delay opening for a quarter of an hour. In a quarter of an hour, all guests will receive an extra pot of wine as a gift. I admire the exquisitely decorated new shop and am very satisfied with my future business. Dusun, oh Dusun. For that little wife of his, he really put in so much effort. In the previous life, with no one to stop him, he directly let Qianqian take over the main shop. She always introduced herself as Mrs. Du outside, acting arrogantly and domineeringly. As for me, I was locked at home, unable to move an inch due to the restrictions of the unlucky star. I never expected that even after a lifetime, he still hadn't forgotten these things. After inspecting the shop, I turned my attention to the people. Rows of employees stood with their heads bowed, and I looked at each one in turn, occasionally reaching out to pat a shoulder. After everyone had left, I spoke up. Those who were just photographed, stay. The rest, once you finish this week's work, you'll be paid your wages, with compensation for the month. Earlier, with the help of that maid, I had already obtained the list and portraits of everyone. Among them, I knew exactly who were ordinary employees and who were part of Qianqian's faction. I will expel all of Qianqian's people to prevent their relatives from interfering in politics from escalating further. After completing the task, I announced the opening. Amid the bustling crowd, I calmly called Qianqian to the backyard. Was this the young master's idea again? I asked with a half-smile. She began trembling and sobbing softly again. Unfortunately, I have seen her arrogant face before. Acting cute and playing weak only stirs up my disgust. You have too big of an appetite. I lowered my head, toying with my nails, but made no move. She remained silent as ever. Don't put on an act in front of me. I know exactly what kind of person you are. From the moment you smiled at me at the wedding banquet, I knew. After saying that, I lifted her chin, forcing her to meet my gaze. In fact, you already knew the master would die, didn't you? Her eyes grew panicked, and just as she was about to shake her head, I twisted it back forcefully. Your plan is perfect, using the master's death to frame me. Then, you can marry her properly and legitimately. It's truly killing two birds with one stone. She was still shaking her head desperately, but her eyes had grown vacant. I increased the pressure. Aren't you still making plans now? Did Duzun tell you to wait a little longer, that once he takes me down, you'll have your chance? She grew even more terrified. I laughed heartily and let go of her again, this time causing her to collapse to the ground. Tell him, in his dreams, that very night, I sent a letter to my parents' home, specifically instructing that it be delivered directly into my father's hands. From then on, I took full charge of that branch, handling all public appearances myself. On the second day after the opening, Duzun even came to argue with me, accusing me of being overbearing. I directly confronted the old master, questioning why he had gone against his father's wishes by taking a concubine and handing over his father's business to a jinx. Once again, he was left speechless, but gradually, I became increasingly aware of the approaching danger. It seemed they were growing impatient once more. I recalled my past life, when, on a day with weather just like this, I experienced the most painful memory of my life. Tian Qin kicked the ball, and it hit my abdomen squarely and viciously. That time, it wasn't just my child who died, but also my last shred of hope. From then on, I became despondent, on the verge of collapse. During this time, no one in the entire household paid any attention to me. The only one who was kind to me, Xiao Kui, had already been sent away. Listening to their conversation, my heart ached even more. Duzun said that once I die, he would immediately make Qianqian his official wife. She says that every day. But she's still not dead, Qianqian cooed, leaning into his embrace. Don't worry, if she still doesn't die, my husband will take matters into his own hands and poison her. After saying that, he secretly smiled. This poison is really powerful, it's been tested, and it's completely undetectable. Only then did Qianqian happily laugh. Back and forth, they had long regarded me as a dead person. Thinking of this, I waved to Xiaotsue, signaling her to come over, help me with something. I leaned close to her ear and whispered softly, I need you to help me find someone. I know the danger is getting closer and closer. I need to speed up the preparations for the few cards I have in hand. Another autumn night, I woke up halfway through my sleep, suddenly sensing a strange smell. Opening my eyes, I saw that my bed curtain had somehow caught fire. The flames blazed fiercely, the tongues of fire racing faster and faster. Someone, help, I screamed, leaping out of bed and rushing outside. There's a fire, bring water quickly. Everyone was startled awake and hurried to fight the fire. The flames grew larger and larger, and by the time everyone had exhausted every effort to extinguish them, my bed was already burned beyond recognition. My heart sank. If I hadn't discovered it early, I would have been reduced to ashes by now. No. We must report this to the authorities. Duzun waved his hand. Investigate thoroughly. We must find the culprit. But after a round of questioning and interrogation, the matter ended without any resolution. I chuckled inwardly. I knew Duzun had a good relationship with the county magistrate. With this little matter, he could just play the thief crying "stop thief" and get away with it. When winter arrived, Tianqin and his study companion began learning swordsmanship again. From the moment they picked up their swords, I knew exactly what they were going to do. Sure enough, a week later, as I was passing by, a sword suddenly thrust straight toward me. I dodged to the side. Who did this? I flew into a rage and took the matter to the main hall. Since Duzun was not at home, the old lady couldn't say much and had no choice but to let the two children stand before the hall. Tianqian anxiously urged me. The child doesn't understand. The child didn't mean it. Shut up. I suddenly slapped the armrest. You have no right to speak here. She lowered her head. It wasn't me. It was him. Tianqin raised his head, his voice trembling with tears. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. The accompanying student also began to cry, and the two of them started blaming each other. Neither of you will admit it. Is that it? I said with a stern face. Fine. Call your teacher over. Let's see whose swordsmanship is worse. Upon hearing this, Tianqian quickly volunteered to fetch the teacher. When she returned, the teacher said that the accompanying student's skills were indeed worse. Sir is lying. Sir is lying. The accompanying child cried out repeatedly, tears streaming down his face. Nonsense. How could the sir lie? Tianqian scolded. The sir, eager to curry favor, nodded his head like pounding garlic. I sneered coldly. Fine. Since the sir has spoken, I believe what he says. Guards, drag him to the dark room and beat him. The accompanying reader cried out in anguish, shouting that he was wronged, but he was still dragged away. I then turned my head towards Tianqin. You watched him throw the sword and didn't stop him. Take him away and confine him for a week. No one is allowed to see him except for those delivering meals. Xiaotsue and I exchanged a glance, and Tianqin was also dragged away. Tianqian remained silent, looking as if she even felt a hint of relief after narrowly escaping disaster. That night, it was said that the servant used too much force, and the child who served as a study companion was beaten to death. I had someone bury him under the cover of night, and to the outside world, it was announced that he had died of a sudden illness. Anyway, no one cares about the life or death of a study companion with an unknown background. The next morning, the gentleman who had come to testify the previous night also died, reportedly from drunkenness and accidentally falling into the water. That morning, Tianqian's shoes were soaking wet and covered in mud. I instructed Xiaotsue to deliver meals to Tianqin on time every day, so he wouldn't go hungry. Just 3 days after sending him off, Duzun returned. To be precise, he came back with bad news. As soon as he saw me, an evil smile spread across his face. Dao Xuanji, his voice was noticeably louder. Didn't expect it, did you? Your father would have his day of misfortune. I was stunned, not yet having processed what was happening, when he threw a letter at me. The letter contained information that my father was suspected of associating with rebels from the southern province and had been dismissed from his post by the emperor for investigation. Impossible. This can't be true. I cried out repeatedly, hastily tearing the letter to pieces. The shreds of paper scattered all over the floor, and Duzun laughed even louder. Shout. Go ahead and shout. Let me tell you, I've been putting up with you for a long time. You've been relying on your dead father to act like a tyrant, and now it's your turn for the last meal before execution. I knelt on the ground, muttering to myself, then suddenly jolted awake. Impossible. It must be a false accusation. Did you and Kui have something to do with this? I finally figured out what was wrong. At the time, I couldn't understand why Kui was so close to him. Now that I think about it, my father and I are the common source of conflict for both of them. Kui has always wanted to promote his cousin to take my father's position, but his official post is as solid as a rock and cannot be shaken, and Duzun also wished for his downfall, so that this thorn in his side, placed by my father, could finally be removed. I leaped up and grabbed Duzun by the collar. At that moment, another voice coldly rang out, "Enough, this is not your place to speak." I turned around and saw Qian Qian, her hair adorned with golden hairpins, wearing my robe and my bracelet, standing coldly before me. When Duzun saw her, he quickly went up to greet her, and Qian Qian leaned against his shoulder. This pair of lovebirds truly have a bond stronger than gold. If only they hadn't tricked me into this marriage, I would have been tempted to say, "Respect and blessings." Who would have thought that after going through so much, they still managed to end up together? Qian Qian walked up to me, hitting me while laughing heartily. "Call me madam. Quickly call me madam." I kept my lips tightly shut, and she slapped me again. "Call me, if you don't, I'll beat you until you do." After holding back for a long time, I finally managed to utter 2 words. She laughed even louder. "Oh, didn't you say not to covet someone else's position? Well, haven't I just gotten it? Don't worry, I've already contacted the right people. As soon as you step out, you'll be surrounded by countless beggars, since my sister dislikes her husband so much. She must surely enjoy being with a crowd, right?" Her arrogant and domineering attitude was exactly the same as in her previous life. I couldn't bear it any longer and finally shouted the words I least wanted to say. "Xiao Kui, haha, still calling for Xiao Kui. Do you think she can save you?" Qian Qian still hasn't realized the severity of the situation. "Xiao Kui, feed me." After a short while, a series of desperate, frantic screams suddenly erupted from the small dark room. As they rushed to open the door, Qian Qin had already collapsed on the ground, foaming at the mouth, and was dead. "Qian Qin." Qian Qian let out a heart-wrenching scream. She threw herself onto Qian Qin, weeping and wailing, while the old lady fainted on the spot. Duzun was greatly shocked, and after a moment, he suddenly drew his sword and pointed it at me. "It was you who poisoned my son." "No, it wasn't me," I said calmly. "It was your beloved concubine who poisoned him." "Nonsense," he cried out even more sorrowfully and indignantly. How could Qian Qian possibly harm her own son? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The meals I gave to Qian Qin were all the supplements Qian Qian had someone deliver to me every day. I just hadn't taken a single bite and had them all sent to her son instead. Qian Qian went crazy as soon as she heard it. Actually, until the very end, I was still hesitating whether to treat him this way. "But what you did was truly too much." Duzun could no longer hear anything. Just as he raised his sword high, about to strike my neck, a wave of shouts came from outside the house. The sound of horse hooves and shouts mingled together, as if countless guards were rushing over. The next second, a sword-bearing guard appeared before us, drawing his blade and pointing it at Duzun. "Mr. Du, let's go, it's time to set off." "What?" Duzun slowly lowered his sword, looking utterly bewildered. "I don't understand." "Stop pretending, your accomplice has already confessed. Shall I take you to see Kui He?" Under his incredulous gaze, I revealed a meaningful smile. From the day of the opening ceremony, I had guessed what they intended to do. I wrote to my father overnight, urging him to be wary of Kui He and to take timely self-protective actions. After that, he went to see the emperor, reporting in advance Kui He's association with the rebels and his possible plan of false accusation. At the emperor's behest, they deliberately put on this act. The purpose was to make Kui He, upon seeing it, believe that his great task was accomplished and be the first to reveal his true intentions. In fact, if Duzun hadn't been so eager to protect Qianqian and rushed to get Kui He to support him, I wouldn't have discovered such a subtle connection between them. Sometimes I think, never covet a position that isn't yours is really quite accurate. After Duzun was arrested, since he had not associated with rebels, according to the law, he could be released before long. At this moment, I began to beat the drum to appeal for justice. "It's you." The newly appointed county magistrate was somewhat surprised. "What grievance do you have?" "I am not doing this for myself, but for others." In the courtroom, I was crying and sniffling. "I want to seek justice for my deceased master. He died so tragically, so tragically." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire courtroom erupted in an uproar. Wasn't Master Du ill and passed away? The onlookers were puzzled. No, he was poisoned by his own son Du Zun, I cried, beating my chest and stamping my feet. The crowd erupted in an uproar. Soon, all kinds of evidence were continuously brought to the hall. The discarded dregs of the medicine from the day-old Master Du died, which I had instructed Xiao Kui to preserve. The witch doctor who introduced the mysterious poisonous herb to Du Zun was also found by me. With the help of Xiao Kui, even the remains of Master Du were exhumed again for examination by the coroner. In the end, it was confirmed that the cause of death was poisoning. The presence of poison was also confirmed in the medicinal residue. The witch doctor claimed that he and Du Zun were merely friends, and he had only casually mentioned the mysterious effects of the herb in his courtyard. But he swore that he had only told Du Zun about this, and Du Zun was the only one who had ever come here. As for himself, on the day of the incident, he was still living out of town. Is this kind of grass found anywhere else? Absolutely not. I brought the seeds from overseas, the witch doctor swore repeatedly. Subsequently, the servants and maids of the Du residence also testified one after another that all the medicine the master took before his death had to undergo a final inspection by Du Zun. Sometimes, he even personally prepared it. With sufficient evidence, Du Zun was sentenced to death on the spot. Ling Kai. Because the crime of patricide was extremely heinous, public outrage was hard to quell, and coupled with his subtle connection to Niu, the new county magistrate also wanted to make a statement. Thus, Du Zun died without a complete corpse. Sometimes I still recall the words he said to Qianqian in my past life. Back then, he was animatedly introducing the poison that would kill me, speaking with great enthusiasm. He even revealed the source of the poisonous grass to everyone. He only regarded me as a dead man. Qianqian was locked away in the madman's tower. Her mental state fluctuated between good and bad. During one of her better moments, I went to see her once. You're basking in glory. You're happy, she said bitterly. You've taken everything from me. Dusun has only ever loved me. All of this should have been mine. Listening to her nonsense, I raised an eyebrow. It's a good thing your son died. Otherwise, with a mother like you, he wouldn't have turned out to be a decent child. I was tricked in by you. If you think it's unfair, go fight for it with the master, instead of dragging an innocent person in, using my death to pave the way for you. Mentioning her son made her emotional again. I waved my hand, signaling for her to be quiet. Actually, looking on the bright side, your son is still alive. What, are you serious? Her eyes instantly lit up. Yes, of course it's true. If you don't believe me, go ask around. Everyone knows that Du Tianqin is under my care now. With the old lady and Du Zun gone, I am now in charge of the entire Du family. But after I die, Tianqin will take over. She grew more and more excited as she listened. So, the person who died that day wasn't Tianqin. Oh, so actually, the one who died was the study companion. Right, you were deliberately trying to scare me, weren't you? I smiled and shook my head. No, you've got it backwards. The study companion never died from start to finish. I didn't kill him. I just hid him away. After your Tianqin died, I didn't let anyone else know. Now, that study companion has changed his name to Du Tianqin. In the future, the Du family will be his. As I slowly recounted the story, Qianqian's expression grew increasingly terrifying. Impossible, impossible. Why would you treat him so well? I forced a dry laugh. Do you believe in the afterlife? In my previous life, your son caused the death of my child. So in this life, I never intended to spare him from the start. Do you know why I never let him go out during the day? I was worried that someone might notice that the two Tianqin look different. By the way, that study companion isn't actually an orphan. He's the child of a distant relative of mine. In my previous life, after I had a miscarriage, I once visited an orphanage, wondering if I could adopt a child. There, he and I recognized each other as family. I had intended to bring him over, but I passed away before I could do so. In this life, I must ensure that our Dao family continues to enjoy prosperity and glory. Didn't expect that, did you? In the future, all the money and assets of the entire Du family will completely belong to the Dao family. Ha 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 ha. I exaggeratedly laughed, and amidst the laughter, Qianqian's expression grew increasingly ferocious. Later, her mental state was never normal again. Whatever, because I, with my little friend, can finally enjoy the boundless glory and wealth of the Du family all to myself.